General Hospital spoilers reveal that the recent developments have introduced fresh calculations and adjustments that feel both thrilling and slightly unsettling, particularly the way Brennan has pieced together the full extent of Valentin's actions and Carly's role in helping conceal him. Have you found yourself wondering, as I did, how someone as sharp as Brennan could finally connect all those dots? It seems the walls are closing in, and this new layer of awareness on Brennan's part changes everything. Carly's involvement, driven by that fierce loyalty and impulsiveness we've come to know so well over the years, adds a layer of moral complexity that I both admire and question. On one hand, her willingness to stand by Valentin speaks to the deep bonds that define so many relationships in Port Charles. On the other, it risks pulling her back into dangerous territory, the kind we've seen ensnare her time and again. In my view, this storyline highlights one of the show's greatest strengths, showing how love and friendship can blur the lines between right and wrong, forcing characters we care about to make impossible choices. Yet even as Brennan tightens the net, the possibility that Valentin has been captured creates an entirely new set of adjustments and ripple effects throughout the canvas. I must admit, the idea of Valentin finally being cornered after so many narrow escapes feels like a long-awaited reckoning, but it also opens the door to deeper revelations that could reshape alliances we thought were solid. Valentin, ever the calculating survivor, appears to have known about certain troubling adjustments happening around Anna's situation, what many of us have come to see as her virtual prison in that clinic. This knowledge, shared in what may have been his final moments of freedom, carries the weight of last confessions. I found myself particularly moved by the way he reportedly disclosed key truths to Nina and Carly right before everything came crashing down. Those conversations feel like classic General Hospital moments, where a character facing potential downfall chooses honesty over manipulation, revealing vulnerabilities we rarely see in someone as composed as Valentin. What strikes me most is how Carly, true to form, doesn't hesitate to act on that information. She quickly brings Sunny, Dante, and Laura into the fold, creating a powerful circle of trusted allies who now hold pieces of a puzzle that could upend the current chaos. Sunny's protective instincts, Dante's sense of duty as both cop and son, and Laura's steady leadership each brings a different strength to the table. I've always appreciated how the show weaves these relationships together, reminding us that in Port Charles, family isn't just blood. It's the people who show up when the stakes are highest. Sharing Valentin's revelations with them feels like the beginning of a coordinated response, one that might finally bring clarity amid the madness. And then there's Anna. The prospect of her return to Port Charles fills me with genuine excitement, tempered by cautious hope. She has endured so much, and the idea that she is ready to come back stronger, determined to dismantle the web of deception and destruction swirling around her, feels both empowering and explosive. We've watched Anna rise from the ashes before, her resilience forged through years of espionage, loss, and quiet strength. This time, however, the scale seems larger. She isn't just returning, she appears poised to confront and potentially destroy the forces that have kept her sidelined. In my long experience with the show, such returns often mark turning points, where one character's reemergence forces everyone else to reassess their positions. Will Anna's actions bring justice? Or will they ignite even more conflict? I lean toward the belief that her presence will ultimately serve as a force for truth, though I suspect the path there will be anything but smooth. These interlocking storylines, the adjustments Brennan forces, Valentin's capture and final disclosures, Carly's rapid mobilization of Sunny, Dante, and Laura, and Anna's impending powerful comeback create a narrative momentum that feels fresh yet deeply rooted in the show's tradition of high-stakes drama. I've occasionally found myself wishing certain plots moved more deliberately, allowing us more time to savor the emotional beats, but here the pacing serves the story well. Each revelation builds upon the last, creating that delicious tension we longtime viewers live for. It also prompts deeper reflection on themes that have always resonated with me: the cost of secrets, the power of loyalty, and the possibility of redemption even after grave mistakes. Valentin's situation, in particular, invites us to consider whether a man defined by manipulation and survival can ever truly change. His willingness to share critical information with Nina and Carly before potential arrest suggests a crack in that carefully constructed armor, a hint of the man who once loved Anna and built a life, however complicated, in Port Charles. I find myself hoping, perhaps against my better judgment, that this chapter allows for some measure of growth, or at least understanding, rather than simply punishing him for past sins. The show has taught us over decades that few characters are purely villainous or heroic. They exist in shades of gray, much like people in our own lives. Carly's central role in all of this feels entirely consistent with the woman we've followed since she first arrived in town as a young firebrand. Her decision to aid Valentin and then swiftly inform Sunny, Dante, and Laura demonstrates both her capacity for compassion and her recognition that some burdens are too heavy to carry alone. I've watched her evolve from impulsive troublemaker to a complex woman balancing motherhood, business, and complicated romances, and this current arc feels like another chapter in that rich journey. Sharing the information so quickly also underscores the trust she places in that inner circle, a trust built over years of shared trials. As Anna prepares her return, I can't help but imagine the electric confrontations and revelations that await. She has always been one of the show's most compelling figures, intelligent, fierce, and deeply human in her vulnerabilities. The notion that she will come back ready to confront and dismantle the crazy events that have unfolded in her absence suggests a storyline brimming with catharsis. We've waited patiently through her absence, and her re-entry promises to be explosive in the best possible way. Will she find allies in unexpected places? How will her presence affect Valentin's fate if he remains in custody? These questions linger delightfully as we await the coming episodes. In the end, what continues to draw me, and I suspect many of you, back to General Hospital, is this ability to balance grand, sweeping plots with intimate, personal stakes. The current developments around Valentin, Carly, Brennan, Anna, and their interconnected circle exemplify that balance beautifully. They remind us why we've invested so many years in these characters, because their struggles, triumphs, and mistakes mirror the complexities of our own lives, albeit with far more dramatic flair. I remain optimistic that the writers will guide this arc towards satisfying resolutions while leaving room for future surprises, just as they have done so masterfully for decades. Thank you for letting me share these reflections with you, my fellow longtime viewers. There's something special about discussing Port Charles with people who understand the depth of attachment we feel after all these years. Whatever twists lie ahead, I'll be right here watching alongside you, eager to see how it all unfolds. The beauty of General Hospital has always been its enduring promise that even in the midst of chaos, connection and resilience can light the way forward. Until the next episode, take care and keep cherishing these stories that have become such a cherished part of our lives. As someone who has followed General Hospital through countless twists and turns over more than 40 years, I find myself deeply intrigued by the latest development involving Valentin. The news that the WSB is transporting him to a high-security prison in Jakarta, the very same facility currently holding Jason, feels like one of those pivotal moments that can reshape the entire landscape of Port Charles. You know how it is for us longtime viewers over 60. We've seen characters disappear into shadowy organizations in distant locations before, only for their absence to spark even greater drama upon their return or through the revelations that follow. This move carries the weight of both isolation and dangerous proximity. Valentin, ever the master strategist, now finds himself en route to a place where two formidable figures could potentially cross paths. Jason has been locked away there for what seems like an eternity, enduring his own form of quiet endurance and silent planning. The idea that Valentin is being delivered to the same location raises so many compelling questions. Could this be a calculated move by the WSB to contain multiple threats in one remote fortress, or is there something more deliberate at play? In my experience, the writers rarely place characters together by accident. This new adjustment in the storyline signals fresh calculations and shifting power dynamics that could explode in unexpected ways. I must admit, this development shocks me in the best possible sense. Valentin has always operated with layers of cunning and hidden agendas, while Jason represents raw loyalty and physical resilience. If their paths intersect behind those prison walls, we might witness alliances form, secrets exchanged, or rivalries ignite that ripple all the way back to Port Charles. Imagine the information Valentin could share or withhold about Anna, Carly, and the web of deceptions that led to his capture. The potential for explosive confrontations feels electric. Will Valentin attempt to manipulate the situation for his benefit, perhaps seeking Jason's help for an escape, or will old grievances turn their shared confinement into a pressure cooker of tension? This Jakarta prison arc also proves how boldly the show is willing to expand its canvas beyond the familiar streets of Port Charles. It reminds me of classic eras when international intrigue and far-flung locations added depth to personal stories. For those of us who have watched for decades, it evokes memories of past global adventures that tested our favorite characters' limits. Yet it also brings a sense of unease. Anna's impending return gains even greater urgency now. How will she react to Valentin's relocation? And what role might Carly play once she learns where he has been taken? In my view, this new shock and the resulting adjustments represent some of the most promising storytelling we've seen in recent months. It sets the stage for explosive revelations that could upend relationships, force long overdue reckonings, and remind us why we remain so invested. The WSB's decision to move Valentin to Jakarta doesn't just remove him from the immediate picture, it repositions him as a ticking time bomb whose influence may soon detonate from halfway around the world. I, for one, cannot wait to see how this bold new chapter unfolds, and I suspect many of you feel the same quiet thrill of anticipation. These are the moments that keep General Hospital feeling vibrant and unpredictable after all these years.